Hi guys, welcome to Untitled. In this video, we're going to be looking at exercise 3.7 from the book Python Crash Course by Eric Matthews. Let's look at the question. 3.7 Shrinking Guest List. You just found out that your new dinner table won't arrive in time for the dinner and you have space for only 2 guests. Start with your program from exercise 3.6. Add a new line that prints a message saying you can invite only 2 people for dinner. Use pop method to remove guests from your list one at a time until only 2 names remain in your list. Each time you pop a name from your list, print a message to that person letting them know you're sorry you can't invite them to dinner. Print a message to each of the 2 people still on your list, letting them know they are still invited. Use del to remove the last 2 names from your list so you can have an empty list. Print your list to make sure you actually have an empty list at the end of your program. Okay, with this, I'm going to continue with the code from exercise 3.6. If you haven't seen that video, I'm going to drop the link to that video in the description of this video. Okay, so this is exercise 3.6. I'm just going to continue from here. The first part requires me to print a message saying I can only invite 2 guests. I'm just going to add exercise 3.7 here. Okay, so print a message saying you can only invite 2 people to dinner. The next part requires us to remove guests from our guest list using the pop method until only 2 guests are left, and we're to print out a message to these guests apologizing that we can't invite them to dinner. First thing I'm going to do is to pop the guest list. So guest list, which is name of my list, dot pop. So this method is going to remove the last item in the list. So I'm supposed to print out a message to this person, that's the person, the last item, the last person in my list, and apologize. So the common mistake people make is printing the message after it is popped. So if I do this, okay, I'm going to use formatted string here. And the last person on my list is going to take the index of -1. So that's guest list. Okay, but first let me print out the entire guest list so you see what I'm talking about. I'm going around this part. Okay, so focusing on this last part here, and you see the last person in my list is actually Glory, but what happens here is the program is printing Pious instead of Glory. That's because I popped Glory from the list before printing this guest message, before printing this message here. So what I need to do is print this message first, telling the person I can't invite him to dinner before I actually pop the person's name from the list. So let me run this. Okay, so see this works now. Glory, I'm sorry I can't invite you to dinner, maybe next time. So I need to do this for the other people in the list until I have 2 people left in the list. I can take out this part of the code. I have want to check the length. So I have 6 people in my guest list, which means I need to repeat this code 4 times. I'm just going to copy and paste it 4 times. 3 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. At this point, I should have only 2 people in my list. And print out guest list at this point. I'm trying this. Okay, I have 7 names actually, so I need to add this one more time. So just one more. For the 0 to 6, that means 7 items. So I need to remove 5 names from the list instead of 4. So I'll just have 2 names left. Okay. This is it. To make this easier, I'm going to add this new line here, so we can just see exercise 3.7, the output. Okay, so this is where exercise 3.7 starts from. I can only invite 2 people to dinner. Right, so let's do the last part of exercise 3.7. I'm supposed to print out a message to these last 2 guests, telling them they are still invited. So I'm going to go ahead and print out the invitation message. Just copy this first 2 and just make some changes, telling them they are still invited. Okay. So for the last part, we're supposed to remove the last 2 names on the list using the del statement. That's the delete statement. This is del. Then the first person in the list has an index of 0. So I can do this. This is going to remove the first person in the list, and I need to repeat the same code. Then run print out the guest list at this point to be sure that all the names are gone. So I'm doing this last part to ensure that the list is empty now. Okay, so you may be wondering why I'm using index 0 and 0 here. The thing is, once I remove this, the first person in this list, in this case Edidion, I'm going to have a list with only 1 item, and that is Ruby. So this new list with 1 item is going to have an index of 0. So if I use 1 here, I'm going to get an error. I'm going to get a syntax error. Let me just prove that. Okay, it's an index error because now that the first item has been removed, it's just 1 item in that list with an index of 0. So at this point, I can still print out the guest list somewhere so you see what's going on. Alright. Okay, so at this point, I have 2 names in this list, Edidion and Ruby, and I've told them they are still invited to dinner. And I've deleted the first name, which is line 61 here. So I only have a list containing Ruby. And since this is my new list, it means I need to delete this first item with index 0. So another way you can do this is by actually using -1. You start by deleting the last person's name, and you also delete the last person's name. This also works, except since I'm removing the last person, I'm removing Ruby here, so I'm left with Edidion. And since Edidion is the last and only item in this list, it's an empty list. So this is it for exercise 3.7. If you enjoyed the video, please give us a like and stay tuned to see more solutions to the exercises in this book. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new to this channel. So see you when I see you.